monitoring the level of compliance on the use of nose mask. Meanwhile, Ogun State government has said that any individual, including public servants, caught without using the face mask will be arrested and sentenced to community service for hours or days. The sanction was contained in a circular issued by the State Head of Service, Alhaja Selimot Otun, in Abeokuta, saying the directive takes effect from Monday, February 22nd, 2021. The circular indicated that the measure became necessary to curtail the spread of the second wave of COVID-19, as the state government has observed with concern the increase in the rate of the pandemic. Alhaja Otun therefore directed that all public and civil servants in the state must use the face mask during official hours and adhere to COVID-19 safety protocols, enjoining all permanent secretaries and other heads of ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, to encourage their members of staff to abide by this directive. Ogun State government has supported victims of herdsmen crisis in Yewa axis of the state with the distribution of palliatives. Members of Ogun State Peacekeeping Committee, comprising Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs and that of Budget and Planning, were on the ground to ensure success of the distribution. Matthew Shome completes the report. We'll give you details of the report later in the course of the bulletin. 3 herdsmen were on the 18th of February 2021 arrested by operatives of Ogun State Police Command for the role they played in the attack of Bamajo village in Ayetoro area of Ogun State. In the early hours of the day, the men attacked the village where they set some houses ablaze and inflicted a deep machete-cut injury on one Ismaila Alabi. In a statement by the command's PPRO, DSP Abimbola Oyeyemi, on receiving the report, the area commander Ayetoro ACP Anthony Aruno mobilized his men, hunters and youth to the scene where the entire area was thoroughly combed. The combing exercise was extended to Igboaje Bush, where one Musa Yusuf was apprehended with gun and a blood-stained cutlass. His arrest led to the arrest of 2 others, Usman Muhammad and Aliyu Abubakar, who are strongly believed to be part of those who launched the violent attack. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police, CP Edward Awolowo Ajogo, has ordered the immediate transfer of the suspects to State Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department for further investigation. He also directed massive manhunt for the rest assailants with the view to bring them to justice. We'll now bring you the story on distribution of palliatives by Ogun State government now. Ogun State government has supported victims of the herdsmen crisis in Yewa axis of the state with the distribution of palliatives. Members of Ogun State Peacekeeping Committee, comprising Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs and that of Budget and Planning, were on the ground to ensure success of the distribution. Matthew Shome has the details.
Towards finding a lasting solution to the lingering farmers' herders crisis in Yewa North axis of the state, the current administration has put in place different measures to address the issues, and the constitution of the Peacekeeping Committee is part of the measures. The committee has since commenced the work as the loading of the palliative comprising rice, noodles and macaroni at the warehouse was monitored by members. A member of the committee and Commissioner for Housing, Jagumolu Jamiu Omoni, said the palliative will help in bringing succor to the people whose livelihood has been seriously affected by the crisis.
Part of the resolutions of that committee was the charge by Mr. Governor to make sure that we provide palliatives and succor to direct beneficiaries of those who have suffered 1 or 2 losses in this mayhem. And as of today, you could see that we're already loading. This is about the second truck that we are loading to take to the affected areas of Yewa North today. And as we are living here, we are going directly to meet the local government chairman. They are already on ground with the representative of Miyetti Allah and the locals.
Jagumolu Omoni said the government is adopting a holistic approach to address the problem.
We are not just looking at what happened within the last 2 weeks or thereabout. We are looking back, because if you look at this mayhem, it's been happening since last year. So we are taking a holistic review of everything, and the figures are being collated, but we don't want to wait until we have the final figure. People are suffering every day. The people are already homeless. We need to start taking care of them right from now.
The items are already on the way to the communities as at the time of filing these reports. Matthew, show me.
From Abuja, President Muhammadu Buhari and the state governors will discuss the issue of fuel pricing on Thursday. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris NGIGE, disclosed this after a bipartite meeting of the federal government and the organized labour at the banquet hall in the presidential villa, Abuja. Briefing journalists on the resolutions, NGIGE said the Labour had investigated the report of the Technical Committee on Premium Motor Spirit Pricing Framework as agreed at the last meeting and made the submissions alongside the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. On the electricity tariff, the minister disclosed that the meeting adopted the report of its ad hoc technical committee on electricity tariffs, made some adjustments, and transformed the committee into an implementation committee to implement all the recommendations made, including mass metering. There are strong indications that the House of Representatives will on Tuesday confirm appointment of the new service chiefs nominated by President Muhammadu Buhari. It was learned that the ad hoc committee set up by the House to screen the nominees would lay its report on Tuesday. Incidentally, the House now holds plenary just once every week, which is Tuesday due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The two-day training for news and program departments of Ogun State Television is an indication of the readiness of the management to strengthen the capacity and reawaken the consciousness of the workforce for quality service delivery, particularly in the broadcast organization. Guest lecturer Professor Jendele Ungu said the training will no doubt change the attitudinal behavior of the workforce and help them to perform well. Yusuf Ganio reports.
Capacity building is an integral part of any organization that intends to improve and equip its entire workforce for global best practices, especially in a competitive society. For this reason, the management of Ogun State Television has deemed it fit to organize a two-day in-house training program, basically to ensure its workforce have better understanding as regards the new trend in broadcast organization for the socio-economic development of the country. The guest lecturer, Professor Jendele Ungu, take participants through various aspects of achieving good production and ways of protecting the organization as well as personal image.
There are a lot of great talents in OGTV. The point is that they need constant training, activities like this to keep them on their toes and to keep them abreast of developments in the industry. And so you need moments of reflection like we've had in the past 2 days for them to be on top of their game.
Professor Jendele Ungu also emphasized the essence of professional solidarity among the workforce.
There's something we call the universality of principles. It's not only in broadcasting that's the case. In every profession, there are basic principles that must be universal. So when you get to a place and you see that this is how they do A to get this result, everybody must be on the same page to say, oh, if you do this, this is what we get.
Participants appreciate the management for putting the training in place.
Professor Jendele happens to be a prolific writer, a broadcaster by excellence, and a very good person who has traveled far and near and is a man of experience. So we have gotten a lot from him. And I think by the special grace of God, it will improve our output.
For me, and I believe every other person, we've learned the essence of taking advantage of social media to expand your horizon. The essence of creativity cannot be emphasized when you're trying to make a production or report a story. So much. I have learned so much.
The training had in attendance news editors, reporters, transmission directors, producers, newscasters, film editors, ICT personnel and cameramen, among others. Yusuf Ganiyu, OGTV News.
The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has announced the lifting of the ban on Boeing 737 MAX aircraft in the Nigerian airspace following the 2 accidents involving the Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. According to a communique signed by Captain Musa Nuhu, the Director General of the NCAA, the approval is effective 12 February 2021. NCAA says it recognizes that a joint authority technical review that comprised of international aviation authorities such as the European Aviation Safety Agency, Transport Canada and the Singapore Civil Aviation Authority, among others, carried out a joint review of the Boeing 737 MAX safety system alongside the Federal Aviation Administration and National Aeronautics and Space Administration. In the light of this, the Federal Aviation Administration has released documents on Boeing 737 Flight Standardization Board reports, identifying special pilot training for the 737 MAX and safety alerts for operators. Now, foreign news. All schools in England are to reopen on 8th March as part of the Prime Minister's cautious 4-part plan to lift the coronavirus lockdown. Boris Johnson will share his finalized roadmap with ministers later before unveiling it to members of parliament and then leading a news conference later. Up to 6 people or 2 households will be allowed to meet outdoors from 29th March, the vaccines minister said. Rules will be lifted in stages and 4 conditions must be met at each stage. The first stage will be split into two parts, Vaccines Minister Nadine Zahari said. Although schools are set to reopen to all pupils on 8 March, it is thought a few days flexibility may be built in to allow measures like testing to be put in place. And U.S. plane manufacturer Boeing has recommended grounding dozens of its 777 aircraft around the world after one of the jets suffered an engine failure. The plane, carrying 231 passengers, was forced to return to Denver Airport on Saturday. No injuries were reported. United Airlines and Japan's 2 main airlines have stopped using 62 planes. Korean Air says it will ground 6. In total, Boeing said 128 aircraft with the same engine as the Denver plane should be grounded. According to the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, United is the only U.S. airline flying this model of 777, with the others from Japan and South Korea. And as to be on the news this afternoon, remember, peace is at our fingertips if we allow it to be. And you can now watch us live on these platforms: Apple, Roku, Facebook, and Android devices. You can also watch live on OGTV website, www.ogtv.com.ng/live, and email at info@ogtv.com.ng. That was the midday news. Thanks so much for watching. Good afternoon.